of the soothing lotus, where no other scent will crumble such emotion. Then why is it that I react in repeated ways? For only a thunderbolt can release such sins. As the forces of creation and immense destruction continue to be, yet, like a mahout who controls the elephant with his single goad, for only discipline and principles can combat the enemy. We climb to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. This is the flag, the emblem of victory. For fear is no more where protection is present. Just as the umbrella will shade you from extreme rain and shine, yet the cardinal directions will not escape, for the intermediate also has directions to enlightenment. O Supreme Lord, who is all-pervading, may I worship your lotus feet and hold them dear to my heart. Like the blessed swastika, a sign of auspiciousness. May the golden sun rays bring a glow of hope, for you are the producer of the tree of life, where rose apples so graciously appear, that I may offer to you from the depth of my heart only the object of devotion. I pray to you, Sri Krishna, that I may always feel your presence as I reach for your decorous lotus feet. And if anyone has any questions.
What's that? Or the, this was very, I know I've read it before about the different meditations on Krishna's lotus feet, like the thunderbolt represents the destruction of sin, and then the umbrella represents the shelter of giving shelter to devotees, the chakra represents. I heard all that, but I was wondering, where did you get that exactly from? Because I think I've heard it in the 10th canto, maybe somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the 10th canto. It's in there. So if you I can't remember exactly where in the 10th canto,
Yeah.
but it's not that.
Bishop
Yeah,
Radford.
yeah. Mm. I'm not sure who was first.
Go ahead, Hoover. So what in particular about Krishna's feet, like makes you like take shelter under? Like, why doesn't it take shelter under his hands, but just take shelter under Krishna? Like, why is it his feet? And then also, like, what about the qualities of lotus or being like related to his feet?
Well, usually when we approach Krishna, we just start at the feet. So it's not that we don't, the rest of Krishna as well, but we just start at the lotus feet, and then we can go upwards. But the lotus is very, very sacred in India. It's just very sacred in general. It's scent. It's just the way that it is. It grows in water. So it comes from mud. So it just shows that we're coming from this, muddy, which is like this material world in a sense. And then it's growing up into a lotus. If we go into the upward realm, like we saw in the upward curve, we can reach towards the transcendental. So the lotus is like the transcendental, and the bottom of it, the mud, is like the material world. So the same way when we connect with Krishna through the lotus feet, it's like we're going upwards to Krishna. Nicholas.
No, thank you. That was so beautiful. I felt so transcendental. I feel like you should give us Sunday class very soon.
I think I'm doing the left foot next week. So I didn't want to leave Krishna on one leg.
That's all I had to say now. I was just thinking when you were talking about the symbols, it seemed like a good amount of them had to do with the material world.
Right.
And I was thinking that it seems like he could easily just have them all having to do with the spiritual world, just sort of sweet and nectarian, just like not having to do with this place. But I was thinking about how I feel like that's shows how much love he has for us here.
Right.
And I see how sweet that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's like and they look like just simple, markings, but there's so much depth. And as we know in Krishna consciousness, there's so much depth, when we're reading, from, to do with this material world and how to get out of it. I mean, it's so, our minds take over all the time. Our mind wants to be here, do this, get in the false ego. It doesn't want to follow any, nice regulative principles. We're caught in false enjoyment. We think, hey, I want to be happy, so I'm going to go out and take intoxication and visit sex and all those things. But really, have we ever found happiness in that? No, we want more. So, we need to get out of that, really take it seriously and understand that that's just false happiness. There is no happiness. So the only happiness we have is to surrender to Krishna's lotus feet. And what's amazing about that is we really are happy that way. That's the real happiness. Doing devotional service it just brings out the happiness because it's so real, it's so heartfelt. That how could you not be happy doing something for Krishna and knowing that, like I said, there's 20 people in here that you've been chosen to serve Krishna. How amazing is that, to be chosen, to be the chosen ones, and to be able to spread it. And there are so many people, there's so much darkness out there. Even I've known of people that have done really, really horrific things and just like, wow. And I feel sad for them, not, that this happens to people, but that this just reminds us even more why it's so important. There's so much going on in this material world that it's just terrible, just really, really, really terrible. But how can we be happy if we know that there's people out there just really having a hard time? No, we can't be happy in that situation. But when we know we're surrendering to Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet, and that Krishna is in charge of everything, then we are happy, because we're happy serving Krishna, because we're not seeing Krishna as a terrible God that made these bad things happen. We know that everything is happening for a reason. So we're just happy serving Krishna. That's what I can say is pure happiness is that.
I saw somebody with a sweater on today that said the chosen ones. It's quite
Oh, okay.
distinguishing.
It's a sign.
Everyone, like we're the ones that can have the, you know, we can go and try to help people remember that they're the chosen ones too. So what a
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and we should be doing that, and that makes us happy when we spread that, when we can serve. And if we're not happy, then there's I must not be serving. I must not be serving Krishna because I feel unhappy. So how can I be happy? Let me find a way to serve Krishna. How can I serve you?
Quick comment. Sorry, Krishna. I think it described Krishna as his lotus feet because they're like, the lotus is transcendental to the material world, but Krishna also has each one of his nails is considered a lotus. He has a lotus navel. He has 2 lotus eyes, a lotus mouth. I think his neck is also considered lotus. There's something like 30-something lotuses on Krishna's body.
Also, the lotus, one of the ideas is it grows out of above the mud and the muck and water, right? That's what that makes me think of. And that's why it symbolizes being transcendental. So I've heard.
Yeah.
Do you think injustices exist? Like, if something traumatic happened to you as a kid, is that just the result of your karma? Like, is that, or are things like actual injustices?
It's not really an injustice because when situations happen, they don't happen to you, they happen for you. So if we understand that deeply, what that means, then we're not really affected by it in such a way. The effects really are more later on when you say, this happened to me, and then somebody else says, oh my gosh, you must have been really distraught or, really hurt. And so are you going to keep this incident happening every day of your life forever and just keep replaying it? We've got all this time, but no, we want to just keep the story going, keep it going. I'm going to be a victim. I'm here to be a victim. Is that what we're doing? If we're a victim, then we cannot surrender to Krishna. The victimization, we have to let go of it and give it to Krishna. Krishna can transform it, and it's not there anymore. And through that, you will then understand why this happened and why it happened for you, and that it didn't happen to your soul. It was just a situation that you had to go through to make some changes somehow. So it's just understanding it and not thinking this was an injustice, this happened to me and I was punished and I had some bad karma. You don't have to think like that. Just think, why has this happened for me? And what was it? I mean, when you say a trauma that happened, it's just one perspective. That's your perspective of the trauma. And you're only going to look at it from that one perspective as well, because this is a better story. So if we really look at it, it may not have been as bad or as serious, or the other person that may have done whatever to you, they were a victim too. What was their victimhood? So if we understand it that way, that Krishna is not trying to hurt you or punish you or anything like that, it's just, we're just learning. We're learning from this, and we can let go of it. This isn't going to affect me because Krishna is so much bigger than the incident. Krishna is so much more.
You can sometimes eventually turn it into nectar.
Absolutely, yeah.
I already said, don't be a victim. It's like